Friends and viewers, good day. Uh, this is the novel written by Leo Tolstoy. The name of this novel is War and Peace. And this novel is probably one of the greatest novel ever written. The War and Peace. This is quite a lengthy and novel, and you can see in this novel, this novel is written on the background of Napoleonic War, the Napoleonic invasion of Russia. So the name of this novel is War and Peace. War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. It is an historical novel, an epical novel written in 1863 and 1869. So the setting time of this novel is in 1805 and 1820. The hero of, there are various characters in this novel, such many characters. But the main hero or the protagonist of this novel is Piri Bizikov, Andrei Bolkonsky, Natasha Rostova, General Kutsov. These are the main character involved in this novel. Now let me tell you about this War and Peace. This novel opens in the Russian city of St. Petersburg in 1805. As Napoleon's conquest of Western Europe is just beginning to stir fears in Russia, many of the novel's characters are introduced at a society's hostess party. Among them, Peri Bizikov, the socially awkward but likable illegitimate son of a rich count, Andrei Bolkonsky, the intelligent and ambitious son of retired military commander, who we also meet the sneaky and shallow Kuragin family, including the wily father Vasily, the fortune hunter's son Anatoly, and the ravishing daughter Helene. We are introduced to the Rostovs, a noble Moscow family, including the lively daughter Natasha, the quiet cousin Sonia, and the impetuous son Nicholas, who has just joined the army led by the old General Kutuzov. The Russian troops are mobilized in alliance with the Austrian Empire, which is currently resisting Napoleon's onslaught. Both Andrew and Nicholas go to the front. Andrew is wounded at the Battle of Austerlitz, and though he survived, he is long presumed dead. Piri is made sole heir of his father's fortune and marries Helena Kuragina in a daze. Helena cheats on Piri, and he challenges her seducer to a duel in which Piri nearly kills the man. Andrew's wife, Liz, gives birth to a son just as Andrew arrives home to his estate, much to the shock of his family. Liz dies in childbirth, leaving Andrew's devout sister Mary to raise the son. Meanwhile, Piri, disillusioned by married life, leaves his wife and becomes involved with the spiritual practice of Freemasonry. He attempts to apply the practice teaching to his estate management and share these teachings with his skeptical friend Andrei, who is doing work to help reform the Russian government. Meanwhile, the Rostov family fortunes are failing, thanks in part to Nicholas' gambling debt. The Rostov consider selling their beloved family estate. Otrando, Nicholas is encouraged to marry a rich heiress despite his earlier promise to marry Sonia. Nicholas army career continues, and he witnessed the great peace between Napoleon and Tsar Alexander. Natasha grows up, attends her first ball, and falls in love with various men before becoming seriously attached to Andrei. Andrei's father objects to the marriage and requires Andrew to wait a year before wedding Natasha. Natasha reluctantly submits to this demand, and Andrews goes off to travel. After Andrews departs, his father becomes irritable and cruel toward Mary, who accepts the cruelty with Christian forgiveness. Natasha is attracted to Anatoly Kuragin, who confesses his love. She eventually decides that she loves Anatole and plans to elope with him. But the plans fails. Andrew comes home and rejects Natasha for her involvement with Anatole. Piri consoles Natasha and feels an attraction towards her. Natasha falls ill. In 1812, Napoleon invades Russia. And Tsar Alexander reluctantly declares war. Andrei returned to active military service. Piri observed Moscow's response to Napoleon's threat and develops a crazy sense that he has a mission to assassinate Napoleon. The French approached the Bolkonsky estate, and Mary and the old Prince Bolkonsky, Andrei's father, are advised to leave. The prince dies just as the French troops arrive. Many, finally forced to leave her estate, finds the local peasant hostile. Nicholas happens to ride up and save Mary. Mary and Nicholas feel the stirring of the romance. The Russian and French fight a decisive battle at Borodino. This is the scene of the Battle of Borodino, where Napoleon had struck badly and killed many, many thousands of people in the Battle of Borodino with the French, where a smaller Russian army inexplicably defeats the French forces. Much to Napoleon's dismay, in St. Petersburg, life in the higher social circles continues almost unaffected by the occupant of Moscow. Helene seeks an annulment of her marriage, and Piri, in order to marry a foreign prince. Distressed by his news, Piri becomes deranged and flees his companions, wandering alone through Moscow. Meanwhile, the Rostov pick up their belongings, preparing to evacuate, but they abandon their possession to convey wounded soldiers instead. Natasha's younger brother Pitya enters the army. On the way out of the city, the Rostov take along the wounded Andrew with them. Piri, still wandering, half crazed in Moscow, sees widespread anarchy, looting, fire, and murder. Still obsessed with his mission of killing Napoleon, he saves a girl from a fire but is apprehended by French authorities. Piri witnessed the execution of several of his prison mates and bonds with a wise peasant named Platon Karatov. Nicholas' aunt tries to arrange a marriage between Nicholas and Mary, but Nicholas resists, remembering his commitment to Sonia. Mary visits the Rostovs to see the wounded Andrei, and Natasha and Mary grow closer. Andrei forgives Natasha, declaring his love for her before he dies. General Kutuzov leads the Russian troops back towards Moscow, which the French have finally abandoned after their defeat at Borodino. The French forces the Russian prisoners of war, including Piri, to march with them. On the way, Platon falls ill and is shot as a straggler. The Russian follows the retreating French and small partisan fighting ensues. Pitya is shot and killed. Piri, after being liberated from the French, falls ill for 3 months. Upon recovering, he realizes his love for Natasha, which she reciprocates. Piri and Natasha are married in 1813 and eventually have 4 children. Natasha grows into a solid, frumpy Russian matron. Nicholas weds Mary, resolving his family financial problem. He also rebuilds Mary's family estate, which had been damaged in the war. Despite home tension, Nicholas and Mary enjoy a happy family life. So this is the shortly I told you about this lengthy, long novel, The War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. This is probably one of the greatest novels with many, many characters. It is written on the background of Napoleonic and counter-Napoleonic war. And the story is perhaps Russia on the midst of Napoleonic war. I hope this is, though it is a very lengthy novel, it requires a lot of stamina and time. But I think if somebody is really interested to read Russian literature or world literature, then he or she must read this novel, War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Thank you very much for patient listening.